Yo, JD here, Zero Limits, and as you can see, we are back once again on F1 2019, and this is the penultimate league race of this very, well, I would say long, but it's only a 15 race season, but it's felt like an extremely long season with plenty of ups and downs. The penultimate race, round 14, TSRL Mexico, currently have a 14-point lead in the championship coming into this race, ahead of my main rival, Mr. Jam Pancakes 44, after we DNF'd at Suzuka, mainly because of a lag issue where it made it pretty much impossible to race. I was really devastated after that. I think you could tell in the video I did from it in the live stream. Even in going into the race, I wasn't really feeling good myself. And it was just horrible. Absolutely horrible. But coming into this race here, Mexico, I had a new energy about me. I was extremely motivated to put that race behind me. And you can see so far in this session, doing what we need to do in this. And Mexico, the track, I wouldn't say is a very particularly good track in raw pace for me, but I would say overall on this game in qualifying, I'm not bad, but I wouldn't say I'm insane at qualifying or anything at all. I've always been a driver that is much better in race trim, because I feel I'm very good at driving at 95% all the time consistently, which a lot of people find really difficult, but for me, I find that much more comfortable. Whereas some other people can get the max out of the car in the quality 100%, and they can do that pretty well. Whereas me, that's not really my kind of style. And you can see so far here, this lap, we're about a tenth, almost a tenth down going through the first sector. Not a good sequence of corners, and kind of like Austria and Spa and those kind of tracks, I just find it really hard to hook up a lap. I find it difficult, this track. But the only thing I have in my favour really is Mr. Pancakes on the controller. One of the most impressive controllers. He's the current AOR champion as well on the controller. So that is all you really need to say about how good he actually is. This track is not really controller friendly, particularly for the middle sector. But right now, he's actually ahead of me. And we've done a purple middle sector, which I don't believe for a second. The game gets the delta wrong all the time here. But coming through this last sequence of corners, you can see we were about a tenth down in the first sector, made it up through the middle, and made up a little bit more time through this last sector, because I think the lap before, I just went in so deep. And we have not out-qualified my rival, Jam Pancakes. He's done a 13.5, which is just nuts. My PB was a 13.4, so you know, he's only a tenth off my PB. And you would think that would probably be a disaster. But this position, I wasn't too upset with. I feel if I'm close to my rival and I'm in the top 4, top 5, I can win this race. And as always, my race pace is usually very good. So we've got 5 lights here, and away they go straight away. That's a very quick lights out. And we get a very good start here. And no, probably one of the better starts I've had this season. Getting the slipstream from Mr. BMG Hawks, JKB, and Jam Pancakes is going down the middle. We decide to think about going down the middle, but we have got to think of this championship. We can't take any risks. But right now, I was thinking I just need to stay with him as much as I possibly can. So we get a good run out of it. JKB, I'm forcing him to go a little bit defensive. So we'll go to the outside of him. And what we're going to do, go out, break him round the outside to get the inside for the right hand. And that is a move done. Up into third place. So myself and Jam Pancakes are both made up with position. And that's a pretty good start so far. And no, as I said before, no, BMG Hawks, probably the quickest man over one lap on Xbox right now. But I knew that if I could stay with him and put him under a bit of pressure, like I said before, I feel my race pace is just so much better than my qualifying. I just feel so much more comfortable. I'm good at not getting penalties, not good at not getting damage or anything. I'm just a lot calmer in the race. And I feel that's where I can really kind of pick people off here. So if I can just stay with him, then we definitely have a good chance. But to win this championship in this race, I need to win, really. And then Jam Pancakes, if he comes P4, I win the championship. And that was the target. I wanted to win it today. That's what I really wanted to do. After a really bad result last week, I wanted to turn it around. And quite often in races this season, when I've had a very bad race, I've always come back with a very good result. So I was extremely motivated to make that happen today. And we got the DRS, and this is going to be a very easy pass on Jam Pancakes. He didn't make that difficult whatsoever, and we brake up very, very early for this first turn. But right now,
I have no idea what to brake.
Unlike Suzuka and other races, I wasn't feeling nervous. I was feeling really, really positive, just really, really happy, and I felt confident in my pace. And you can see what the gap is. It's about a 2.3 second gap, as Jam Pancakes is almost 7 tenths behind already. So you can see he is struggling to keep up. And I said before, the controller is not very friendly around this track, particularly in Sector 2. You can see the gap is about 2.4 seconds to BMG Hawk. So he pulled away a tenth, but we are continually pulling away from my rival in this championship. And my goal right now, I was thinking at this moment, I have to get out of the DRS zone and put him under pressure from the cars behind, because there's a really, really big train. Look at that train there. There's a huge train. So if I could get out of the DRS zone, he won't be able to latch on to me as he's done in this first sector. We've actually gained a slight bit of time on Hawks out in front. Right now I'm pushing really as hard as I can while still trying to be quite efficient with my fuel and DRS. Just through this middle sector, I should be putting away quite a lot through here, and you can just see visually on the minimap, we are just pulling away so quickly. And I'm wondering what the gap is going to be now. You can see it looks well over a second. Let's see, we've actually gained some time on Hawks, and he's lost almost 4 tenths going through that middle sector. So we have had a very, very good middle sector, and this is perfect. This is absolutely perfect. This is exactly what I need right now. He doesn't have the luxury of DRS on my car, and I was hoping he'd fall back into the clutch behind. You can see we gained another 2 tenths on Hawks as well. So right now, I was feeling completely in the zone. I wasn't really focusing on that gap too much. I was just focusing on just hitting my apexes, doing everything that I could. And coming off this last corner, BMG Hawks actually pits, but we decide to continue. And the reason why I've decided to continue, you can see there is a whole cluster of cars going through here. And the rule really, when pitting, you need really over a 4.5 second gap if you don't want to be held coming into this pit. So I decided to pit a lap later because I was pretty confident that he would very likely be held in the pits here. And I thought I was going to get held myself because it is very close to myself and Overkills. But coming out of the pits, we shot in just between 2 cars, or just behind Overkills, and that was the perfect pit stop.
That previous lap.
No, we needed some fortune, and we definitely got it on that occasion. So let's see where we are going to come out. And coming out the pits here, Hawks has gone past, but that's a different Hawks. But BMG Hawks, we have almost overtaken him, and he overtakes me back, and then we made the overcut actually work. He had a 2-second lead, and I can confirm he did get held in the pits, which is the exact reason why I did not go into the pit, because I would have suffered the exact same fate. And now I'm just checking to see if he has got any penalties so far, and right now I don't think he has any penalties. And that was, again, perfect. This race has gone absolutely perfect. You've done exactly the right thing, made the perfect start, picked off my rival, did the right pit strategy. It is going to perfection so far. But now we've got our first little obstacle this race. We have a Williams, and that is Mr. Jam Pancake's teammate. And Hawks gets past Hawks. We go down to Tom, and he leaves me a lot of room, but he decides to fight it round the outside. Although he's effectively a pit stop down, he still tries to fight it, and we have a second gap to Hawks now, and it's crucial. Although we have the fresher tyres, we have to stay with him, because I know how quick he is around here, and we got a little bit of work to do, so it's not going to be completely plain sailing. Although my pace was feeling very, very good at this time. But you're going to see, coming off this corner, now Hawks made it very difficult for me, but you can see on the minimap, he lets his teammate go, and his teammate was a long way behind him. So very clearly trying to help out his teammate there, which is not illegal. You can perfectly do that. But we have just about managed to stay in the DRS zone, despite the Delta saying I was outside a second. I think at the detection point, I was within a second. And again here, we're just going to stay up behind him. And you can see what the gap is behind two Pancakes. You see the gap is 2.7 seconds now. So just the pace of myself and Hawks, we are slowly starting to pull away, which is expected. Now, I didn't expect Pancakes to be certainly not dominant, although no, he's quite capable of being competitive. Around this track, I know it's going to be a really big issue, and you can just see we're in the fuel saving mode and just the ERS saving mode. And right now, I was pretty much just cruising behind him as we comfortably pull away from the guys behind. And JKB has actually gone into a podium position, and that means if I actually get ahead of Hawks, then this would be a championship winning position. So I decided now, I've saved up a lot of ERS and fuel as well. We'll go check for the penalty situation once again. But I thought this would now be the time to maybe start putting him under a little pressure. And again, I was just feeling just so good at this moment in the race. I had not done anything wrong, being really consistent, just felt really comfortable, felt like I could go up an extra gear if I really needed to be honest, at this stage in the race. So it was feeling very nice. But now you can see we've started to up the aggression a little bit. I was staying a little bit away from him because I was quite wary, since he is in BMG. If you don't know what BMG is, that's a team, like a clan or a team that a lot of people do have. Like, no, TRL for me, for example. I know Jam Pancakes is in BMG as well. So I was quite wary to see if he would try and slow me down, to try and back me up into Jam Pancakes. But thankfully, he really wasn't doing that. He was actually doing his own race. So, no, completely fair play to him. And I think you will see a little bit of footage of his onboard perspective a little bit later. But you can see now we have definitely turned up the aggression. And I thought now this is the time to try and get ahead of him and try and just stretch him out. Now, I've let him have it quite comfortably at this stage in the race. But now I wanted to really take the race into my own hands and not really force a penalty from him, but just make him work for it, really. So he goes a bit defensive now. So we're going to go round the outside of him and get in the inside for the left-hander, and then for the right as well. He gives us room. We get the DRS on the second part of it, on the exit, and that is us into the lead. And now let's see if I could even break away from him, although it's probably going to be very difficult around this track. I wanted to test to see how fast his pace really was. And you can see we've got a 4.5 second lead to the cars behind. But going into turn one, I get a little bit distracted by a Williams. Hawks again, who is unfortunately disconnected from the race. That distracts me a little bit. So I think now Hawks, the other one, has now got a very good run of me. Let's see if he's going to go down the inside. He does try and go down the inside. We give him a little bit of room. And again, I had to be wary of that because I knew that he would maybe try and slow me down this race. But I didn't want to throw my race away or anything at all. And we're going to stay on board once again. This is a replay of his perspective. So he gets a really good exit. I get a little bit distracted by that Williams here. You can see almost losing the steering there. And with the DRS zone, he's going to go for a move down the inside. So he goes down the inside, but there's no way that he's going to do it. And now my strategy was to stay ahead as much as I could. The only place I wanted him to overtake me on was on this main straight, because if he overtook me there and if I just let him go completely, I was conscious that he would try and hold me up in this middle sector. And no, not just that, but I think we'd be slowing each other down, and I can't afford for JKB or Pancakes to catch us up, because although I think at this stage I do have a couple of warnings as well. So if I get one more warning, I would get a 3-second penalty, and if they got within 3 seconds, then that could change the complete result of this race here. So I really wanted to dictate the pace as much as I could. That was the actual plan here. So you can see in this lap, I'm trying to stretch him now. I'm trying to really kind of force him into a mistake. I'm trying to deplete his ERS as much as I could. And yeah, I'm trying to not make it comfortable for him. I'm trying to really stretch him out here. And when I mean stretch out, I mean, yeah, pretty much try and force him into a penalty or a mistake or something like that, and just pull away from the guys behind. That was really what my intention was here. And if I couldn't do it in 3 laps, And my goal is I actually get a track limit warning. So actually, I think that is my first one. I did get another one pretty quickly after this as well. But yeah, that was my intention, just to really test to see what his pace is. You can see he is struggling. There's quite a big gap behind, but there is such a big straight. He is going to catch me in a straight line here. But no, confirming that the pace, it's just really funny. In qualifying, I can be a few tenths off people, but in the race, I seem to definitely step up a level myself, a different gear. And you can see this is his perspective. And once again, he's not going to be close enough going to this sequence of corners. You can see we just get some very good exits. And the guy behind Jakey B, now he's still over 4 and a bit seconds behind, not really closing in. You can see he's definitely pushing, losing a little bit of the car here. But right now, we are in a championship winning position here as he gets a warning going through into here, and it's such an easy track to get an invalidation on. It's so easy. And going through here, he gets the 3-second time penalty, and that is absolutely what we needed at this stage in the race. And you can tell, I don't know if you can quite hear his audio, he is definitely not happy that he got a penalty here, which, no, who would be? And right now, I wasn't really aware of it, because the thing is, rain is actually on the way at Mexico. Although I don't know how often it rains at Mexico in real life, but I don't think it's going to be too often. We have some rain scheduled for the end of this race, and now I never seem to have easy races, do I? It's just a completely clear race, like Silverstone, where I really needed that. It's always something difficult that happens. It's like the game just doesn't want me to win or something at all. But Hawks has got another very good run of me going to turn 1. But luckily, I kept on getting a very good exit off that last corner. I was always very good going down straight. But it's on the exit of this corner. This is where I lost a little bit of time. But on this occasion, I definitely had the speed and the exit to try and hold him off through here. And going off this corner again, you can see by the arrow, always get a very good launch coming off of here now. And you can see the gap's about 4 attempts. But Jakey B is actually closing in ever so slightly. So I'm confirming he's got the pace, and he is dragging along Jam Pancake. So again, I can't afford to get a penalty, because if I get a penalty, if me and Hawks start battling, there could be a very good chance that if I did, then I could actually finish behind Jam Pancakes, and that would be a complete disaster, because he is so good. But Hawks tries to go down my inside once again, and we just do exactly the same thing. We give him some room, but I wasn't going to give up the position at all. I need to stay in the lead, and especially through this middle sector, because I just didn't want to be slowed down at all. But going to turn 1, he hasn't had a good run of me going to turn 1 so far. Missed that apex a little bit, and this one as well. That is not the good exit, and I think he's going to have another opportunity. So I'm not going to defend. I'm going to stay on the racing line. He goes down the inside here. Tries to break a bit later. Actually makes a little bit of contact with me on this occasion. But there's really nothing that he can do. And I realised that myself. If I just keep my car in that position, either he would have to ram me off or just completely outbrake me. Now, since I have the inside for the next corner, which comes up very quickly, I knew that I would have to get a very bad run. You can see here, the rain has now started to fall here. It just flashes before you before it starts falling. And now he has got a very good run. And this time, I decide to let him go, because I'm pretty sure I was aware that he had a penalty at this stage in the race. So right now, I knew all I have to do is just stay with him. All I have to do is just stay with him as I switch to intermediate tyres, just in case we have to do it. But Jakey B has now left the session, and I think you're going to hear this now. We need to slow him down. So his engineer who is talking to him, who is part of BMG with the Jam Pancakes crew, he is now telling Hawks to slow me down in case I get a penalty. And this is what I was very wary of. I think there's about 5 or 6 people in this lobby who are part of BMG, so it feels like I'm trying to beat 5 or 6 people, not just one person. But again, fair play to Hawks. I don't think he was really listening to those team orders, because he wasn't slowing down. He was still having very good pace here. And right now, the rain is starting to come down, so it's starting to get a little bit tricky. But my thought was I'm not going to pit no matter what happens here, unless it goes to full wets or something. I'm just going to stay out. There really is no point here. I'm moving towards the end of lap 33. We are very, very close. And the guys behind Pancakes, because JKB unfortunately disconnected, he is P3 now, but I don't know his penalty situation. I have no idea how many penalties he has, but right now, all we can do is try and win this race. That's the only thing that we can do. But my DRS has now actually decided to stick open. And
are you serious?
I just have no words at this stage. I have absolutely no words. I have never had that before on this game. And I've never ever seen anyone online actually have this in a race. I've seen people have it in qualifying, but never in a race. I've seen races where it's been forced stuck, which, no, that's happened to me. But to be stuck open, this is my absolute worst nightmare. But right now, I was trying not to let it get to me as much as I could. And the thing I think that is saving me right now is that it is actual wet conditions, because since we're going so much slower than we would do at full speed.
My rear ring is stuck open. Are you fucking serious?
Yeah, I was angry, but I could quickly tell that it wasn't actually harming me too much. Now, the car did feel very, very unstable, but since it was wet conditions, if it was dry, I think we would have already spun off and a very good chance of getting no points. But right now, I was just trying to keep completely focused, try and keep my composure, although I'm sounding quite angry. But you can see, we have some very good straight line speed because the DRS is still open, so we're going to go around the outside of BMG Hawks here. But since I know he has a penalty, I'm not really going to fight this tooth and nail. I don't need to at all. But the thing is, I definitely have 2 warnings at this stage in the race. And it's going to be very easy to pick up another warning. So if I picked up another warning, I think Jam Pancakes or Overkills, they're almost within 3 seconds. As I look here, oh no, they're 3.8 seconds. But again, I was wary of Hawks trying to slow me down. So I wanted to keep this pace as much as I possibly could. And by the time at this point here, I knew that if I just kept my car stable, although the rear end was feeling very, very loose right now. You see, no, it doesn't look it on here, but I could tell through the force feedback that it was just going incredibly light through these corners. All I need to do is just keep it together, and we have a chance of winning this championship, because right now we are going to be winning this championship, because if I win this race and Pancakes comes P4, we have won this championship before Brazil. So coming on to the last lap now, let's see what I can do. I'm quite far behind BMG Hawks, but with this DRS, we're going to have so much speed in a straight line. You can see we've got an absolutely amazing run going into top one. He goes semi-defensive. We try and go around the outside, this time doing the opposite to what we did in lap 35. So I try and go around the outside this time, but he holds it for the inside. Almost spin out there. But again, I think you can tell I'm not fighting this too hard. No,
he's got a penalty.
Yeah, like I say there, if he didn't have a penalty, then I would have been a lot more aggressive with that move. But also because of my DRS, although it seems to be stable, I just had no idea how hard I could push the car. So I am being very, very cautious and conservative with my driving style right now. I didn't want it to spin out on me. No, just not knowing how the car's going to react, because with a DRS open, effectively you shouldn't really be able to drive this car. But again, I think the godsend is that it is wet conditions, and I think this is actually a stroke of fortune, to be honest, because without this, I think we would have DNF'd from this race. So now, going through this last sector, all we have to do is make sure that I do not get a penalty going through here, so we stay well away from the white lines. And coming off this last corner, unless we do a huge spin,
it depends what Pancakes
it is hopefully going to be winners. We almost do lose the car. Going across the line, I was looking at the standings, and let's see where I come.
One, but where has he come? Yes! Oh, fuck, no!
I thought I won the championship. I really did think I won the championship. But unfortunately, Overkills, and you can tell a bit of swearing because, don't take it too serious, but I thought I won the championship because I drove everything I needed to do in that race. It's frustrating that Overkill's had some penalties, but to be fair, and a lot of people pointed this out to me very correctly after the race, Hawks had a penalty as well, so I can't really complain too much. But the thing is, I knew Hawks had a penalty, which is the reason why I didn't really fight too hard on those last couple of laps. But yeah, I couldn't do anything else. The only thing I could do was win this race, which is exactly what I'd done. I did everything that I needed to do here, and although I was very, very happy, it will still go down to the final race at Brazil, which will be live streamed tomorrow night at 8 p.m. I go into that race with a 24-point lead in this championship, and that means that means for a start, Jam Pancakes needs to win at Brazil. He needs to win. If he doesn't win, then I win the championship. But if he does win, I need to come, I think, even if he gets a fastest lap, I think I need to come P8 at bare minimum. So I'm going really prepared for this race. I'm doing everything I can. Yeah, it's going to go down to the wire, but I did everything I could here. I kept my composure, I kept my cool. I was a lot more positive here, and I'm going to go for the championship, and I'm still going to give it absolutely everything. I'm going to treat it like I'm on level points. I'm not going to treat like any different race, no matter what. Thank you so much for supporting my videos recently. It really does mean the world to me. I hope you enjoyed this series. I can't wait to league race again in the next game. But join me tomorrow night at Friday, 8 p.m, live on this channel. And I'll see you then.